In the quiet hum of a high-end art gallery, Leo stood, a portrait of modern success. His suit was tailored perfectly, his smile practiced and confident, the kind of smile that had closed million-dollar deals and charmed countless people. But tonight, that smile was a mask, and beneath it, a knot of frustration tightened in his gut. His gaze was fixed across the room on Ilara. She was a masterpiece in her own right, her effortless grace and quiet confidence making her the undisputed center of attention. Every man in the room seemed to orbit her, and Leo, despite his usual magnetism, couldn't even break into her atmosphere. He tried the things that always worked: a casual, knowing glance, a well-timed, witty remark meant to catch her ear, a confident stride in her direction. Nothing landed. She moved through conversations, her laughter a soft, melodic sound, completely oblivious to his existence. The more he tried, the more invisible he felt. He saw his reflection in a framed painting, a man with everything, yet lacking the one thing he desperately craved: her attention. He was a master of his professional world, but in this one instance, he was utterly powerless. He clenched his jaw, a flash of raw defeat crossing his face. What was he doing wrong? Why did all his usual moves fall flat? The scene lingered on his face. A successful man at the peak of his game, completely undone by a woman who didn't even know he existed. This was his hidden struggle, the void that no amount of success could fill. He had mastered the external world, but his inner world was a storm of unfulfilled desire, and Ilara was the calm, unreachable eye of it. Just as Leo was about to concede defeat and leave, a soft, baritone voice broke through his thoughts. "A beautiful woman, isn't she?" He turned to face an older man, his face a roadmap of a life well lived, with kind eyes that seemed to hold a deep sense of peace. This was Julian, a renowned sculptor whose work was the highlight of the gallery. Leo had heard of his reclusive wisdom. Julian didn't wait for a reply. He simply gestured to the painting Leo had been staring into. "You're chasing something that is outside your control," Julian said gently. "I've seen it 1,000 times. A man focuses all his energy on an external object, a deal, an award, or in this case, a person's attention. And when it doesn't bend to his will, he crumbles." Leo felt a surge of defensiveness. "I'm not chasing her. I don't understand why nothing I do works." Julian smiled faintly. "Because you're trying to influence her world. But you only have true power over your own." He leaned in slightly, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "Here's a simple truth, a hidden secret of sorts. Stop trying to chase her. Chase yourself instead." The words hung in the air, a paradox that made no sense to Leo. Chase himself? The very idea was counterintuitive. He had been taught his entire life to pursue, to go after what he wanted. Julian seemed to read his confusion. "You're an impressive man, Leo. You built a successful life. But you did it by constantly looking outward, by shaping the world around you. Now, it's time to build a world within you. Focus on your virtues, on your discipline, your integrity, your contentment. Make yourself the man you are truly proud to be, not for her, but for you. When you do that, you'll find that the need for her attention, or anyone's, will begin to fade. And ironically, that's when you become truly magnetic." Julian's words were a seed planted in Leo's restless mind, a challenge that went against everything he knew. The older man didn't explain more, leaving Leo with nothing but the perplexing advice and the gnawing question: could focusing on himself really be the key to winning her over? Initially, Julian's advice seemed absurd to Leo, a rejection of all his instincts. But the sting of his failure with Ilara was a persistent ache, and in a quiet moment of reflection, he decided he had nothing to lose. He chose a new course of action, not a new strategy to win her over, but a new way of living. He started by putting away his phone during his morning coffee, instead picking up a book, a history of ancient philosophy Julian had recommended. He reconnected with his old love of running, not to sculpt a more impressive physique, but to find a rhythm in his own breathing and the quiet hum of the world. His work, once a means to an end, became a source of genuine purpose. He stopped chasing the high-stakes deals and began mentoring a younger colleague, finding a quiet satisfaction in helping someone else succeed. The change wasn't immediate or dramatic. It was a slow, deliberate process, like the steady growth of a tree. He learned to enjoy the stillness of his apartment, the taste of a home-cooked meal, the simple pleasure of an uninterrupted thought. The constant need for external validation, for the approval of others, began to recede like a tide. Leo was becoming self-sufficient, a world unto himself. He wasn't seeking happiness from outside sources. He was building it within. His days were no longer defined by whether he saw Ilara or if she acknowledged him. His sense of worth was no longer tied to her opinion or anyone's. He was focused on his own virtues, his discipline, his kindness, his dedication. He was becoming the man Julian had spoken of, not for show, but for himself. And in this new, quiet contentment, he found a profound sense of peace. He had stopped performing for an audience and had started living for himself. He had found a hidden strength he never knew he possessed, and it was in this very act of self-mastery that he began to radiate a new, unspoken kind of power. Ilara first noticed the change in Leo not because of what he did, but because of what he stopped doing. The desperate glances, the calculated proximity, the attempts at forced conversation, all of it had vanished. He was no longer a person trying to win her over. He was just present. She first saw it at a coffee shop they both frequented. Leo was in a corner booth engrossed in a book, a faint, genuine smile on his face as he took a sip of his coffee. He was completely unaware of his surroundings, absorbed in his own world. A different kind of man would have been checking his phone or glancing up to see who was watching. But Leo was simply content. This quiet self-possession was a mystery to her. Later, at a networking event, she observed him from across the room. He wasn't working the crowd or trying to be the center of attention. Instead, he was in a deep, animated conversation with an elderly woman, a retired architect. His laughter was unrestrained and real, his body language relaxed and open. There was no performance, just authentic engagement. Ilara was struck by this. The man who had once seemed so tense and eager for approval now carried himself with an effortless calm. It wasn't a sudden crush, but a slow-burning intrigue. His newfound inner peace and strength created a powerful, silent magnetism. He wasn't chasing her, and in his complete lack of need, he became something she couldn't ignore. She began to wonder about him, to look for him, to feel a pull toward the man who had stopped trying to pull her in. He had become the prize she was now subtly and unconsciously trying to win. He was sitting on a park bench, the late afternoon sun warming his face as he finished a chapter in his book. The world around him was quiet, and so was he. A shadow fell over the page, and he looked up to see Ilara standing there. She wasn't just beautiful. She was composed and a little uncertain, a flicker of vulnerability in her eyes that he had never seen before. "Hi," she said, her voice soft. "I've been noticing you. You seem different." Leo closed his book, placing it on the bench beside him. He felt no urge to perform, no need to impress her. He simply saw her as another person, curious about his journey. "Different?" he asked, a gentle smile on his face. "Yeah. A few months ago you seemed restless," she said, "like you were always looking for something. Now you just seem at peace. What changed?" He took a moment to gather his thoughts, not for her sake, but for his own clarity. "I was chasing something I couldn't control, external validation," he explained. "I was trying to be the person I thought others wanted me to be, especially you. And it was exhausting." He paused, looking directly at her, not with need, but with honesty. "Then I met a wise old man who told me something that changed everything. Stop trying to chase her. Chase yourself instead." I decided to do just that. I stopped trying to impress anyone and started focusing on becoming the I wanted to be, for my own sake. I started reading, I found joy in my work, and I learned to be content with myself. I stopped needing to be seen by others and started to truly see myself. Ilara listened, a quiet look of understanding on her face. She wasn't captivated by his success or his looks, but by the profound strength in his words. She saw that his power wasn't in his charm, but in his genuine self-sufficiency. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, Leo realized the full truth of Julian's words. The hidden Stoic secret wasn't a trick or a tactic to make someone fall for you. It was about finding your own inner world, your own peace, your own happiness. The moment he stopped needing her to fall for him was the very moment she did. Because she will fall for you as soon as you master this hidden Stoic secret, the secret of being your most authentic, self-sufficient self.